For today's video, we have my top 5 breakout picks in the midfield for Supercoach 2021. So these players I've put between 350 and 500k, and a few interesting picks here. Would you pick these guys in standard? I think there's an off chance. We'll need to see a bit more in the preseason. I've seen a few of these in a few teams, and I've had one of them in my team in and out a little bit, but still want to see what they can do in the preseason. But yeah, these players are hugely talented, and it's more or less not a matter of if, but when these guys will become premium. So the first player we'll go over is Nora Anderson. So pick 2 in the 2019 draft, and he averaged 76 last year, but got better as the season went along. So averaged the 85 in the back half of the year. So this caught my attention when Stuart Dew said he's pretty much trained all inside mid. Trained as an inside mid for the entire preseason. So his CBAs were only 17% last year. So we thought coming in, he's a very damaging player, probably the most damaging player in that draft. And he can kick a few goals, damaging off the forward line. So thought he'd play mid forward. Unfortunately, didn't get him as a forward because he played more mid towards the back half of the year. But yeah, poised for more inside mid time. 85 average in the back half of the year, and in these final 6 games, he had all games but one over 20 disposals in shortened quarters. So we've seen him improve already, so that's really nice. 411k, so it's a little hard to pick. But yeah, the upside is more inside mid time, having a good preseason, more CBAs. So it's a matter of watching Nora Anderson, I think. But yeah, one to keep an eye on. Huge talent. So still very young, but something I came across in his draft profile is that he can be inconsistent across 4 quarters. So that might hurt his ability to be a premium. But yeah, probably best case an M8, and that's probably a really big reach. But he's so talented. We want to see what he can do first. So I don't mind Anderson. Just want to see what he can do in the preseason. But high risk to pick Anderson in the midfield. Next guy we have Cheyle Simkin. So about 500k this year. Seen Simkin in a few teams, in 4% of teams at the moment. But really impressed with Simkin. Really impressed with his clearance work. Just his evasiveness around the clearance, his ability to win the ball. He's got quick hands as well. So watching him early last year, he was really impressive. And before he had an ankle issue, which it seemed he played with throughout the whole year, he was averaging, what do we got here? 120 he was averaging, 119 he was averaging in the first 6 rounds. So that's pretty nuts. A lot of people brought him in. Unfortunate timing, but his CBAs dropped after those 6 rounds and started starting forward a little bit more, probably because of the ankle injury, but it seems to be over that. Having a huge preseason, won the time trial, I think by a mile from what we're hearing, and the first name that comes up when you ask a North supporter of who's impressed the most is Cheyle Simkin. So yeah, fearless player, really probably the next captain of North. So one I'm seriously considering, and I do like him, especially when you hear about the things about the work ethic, how desperate he is to get the absolute best out of himself. So that's when that gets singled out, that gets my attention. The thing with Simkin is that watching him can be a little frustrating because he gives away some silly frees at times, and he just does some dumb things. His kicking dropped off with that injury, so I'm not sure if that's ankle related. Could be, but disposal can let him down at times. There was the time where he tried to take on Mason Cox and he got caught, which was, you don't want to see that stuff. So it's just something that would frustrate owners if you owned Cheyle Simkin and you saw that, but probably nothing. So yeah, he gives away a lot of frees as well. So that's more what I was alluding to. But don't mind the Cheyle Simkin pick. There's upside. He's having a better preseason. He played injured last year, and CBAs overall are going to go up this year. Has the first buy, so you can't really flip him, but who knows if we actually get a buy with lockdowns and stuff. I'm tempted by Cheyle Simkin, and I would not, if I saw him in your team, I'd be like, go for it. I'm not going to stop you from picking him. So the next player we have is Sarong. Sarong, right? apparently, I think Luke Ryan had an interview a few days ago, and Luke Ryan says, the first they ask who's flying at training or whatever. First thing he says, Caleb Sarong is dominating the clearances. What was interesting that I found is Sarong was a first-year player last year, and his time on ground was pretty dodgy at times, especially in the earlier stages. He had the most CBAs for a midfielder at Freo last year, for a first-year player. Averaged to 81, so that's pretty nuts. So yeah, really impressed what he could do pretty early. Has a ready-made body, really hard at the ball. So I have read in his draft profiles, although we haven't really seen much of it, so he can play mid and forward. But it seems him, Sarong, Sarong, Brayshaw, and Cheyle seem to be the three main starting mids for the foreseeable future. So Darcy Tucker as well, I think, can go in there. Connor Blakely, I don't think he's very good, but that's another story. Could go in there. So one to watch, Caleb Sarong. He could explode. He's a competitive beast apparently. But yeah, he's still only 20 years old. But when I mentioned that he had the most CBAs, that's the thing. He had 67% CBAs attended 67% CBAs for Fremantle. So that means the upside is sort of lessened a little bit. And we never know with Longmuir. He seemed to play Brayshaw. His time on the ground was terrible, and Sarong's time on the ground was also terrible. So that could be a limiting factor. But when he was in there, his points per minute, I'm not sure what it is, but it'd be pretty high, especially for a first-year player. So I wouldn't sleep on Sarong. He has the last buy, so you could flip him. And if you got like a Haley or something, or a Tom Green or something, you don't want to pick them, and you have extra money, I wouldn't blame you for going up to Sarong. While it is better to pick a player that's a definite keeper, Sarong may be an off chance for an M8, but it's very hard to tell. A second-year player, any second-year player generally has bust potential, but it's a hard one. So Sarong is one to watch. If we see, more good things in the preseason, we'll get a good eye test for him. We'll get an eye test when he plays in the Marsh series, so that should be good. So the next player I have also plays for Big Fremantle is Adam Cheyle. So this is another interesting one. So averaged a bit more advanced than these guys, maybe about the same level as Simkin, but a few more years in the system. 101 average post-buy, and I think he played wing and half-back, but I think he played more wing towards the back half of the year and started to attend a few more centre bounces. Only the 24% centre bounce attendances for the entire year, so not a whole lot for Fremantle, so a lot of outside time. But this is the quote that I read the other day. This is from Josh Carr, their midfield coach at Freo. But at this stage, his role will be minutes inside as a midfielder and being one of our starting mids every week. Okay, so those CBAs should go through the roof. Now, just because Josh Carr says this doesn't mean he's definitely gonna get all the mid minutes in the world. But at least we're going to see an increase. But this is a good sign. And will he play wing? Well, they have Aish and they have Blake Acres. He's always injured. So maybe Acres gets injured and they push Cheyle back out on the wing. Still can score okay there, but not. This is midfield. We need the big dogs in the midfield. So it's a bit of a hard one. Reading his draft profile rather, he says he has very high upside and he could have been a number one pick if not for injuries during the year, during his draft year. But yeah, apparently he was injury prone in his junior ranks, but missed only 3 games for this year. So really for his career rather. So quite impressive. Or it might be 4 games, but anyway, Adam Cheyle, very impressive. Yeah, I like the fact that he has a huge ceiling. Could be interesting. Very hard to pick. Again, he has the last buy, so you could flip him over, but you'd probably rather save your trade and pick a definite keeper, but one that could break out. So yeah, 101 average in the back half of the year. Yeah, interesting one. Want to see him in the preseason. So yeah. Next player we have is, or the last player on this list, Tom Green. So Tom Green fell to pick 10 in the draft last year, so it didn't really matter because Giants were always going to snap him up. But yeah, referred to as the young Patrick Cripps quite often, and was the best contested ball winner of, I believe, since draft records were recorded. That's what I've heard. So yeah, amazing contested ball winner. Didn't get a whole lot of mid-time last year, obviously the Giants, and that's the main issue. So in front of him, he has Hopper, Torano, Cogs, Josh Cheyle, and then Matt DeBoer I'm not sure where Matt DeBoer is at, and also Callum Ward. I'm not sure where Callum Ward's at either. Either he's getting on. But yeah, they got rid of the no more Haitley and Cardwell to compete with, and I think they probably kept the right player. Tom Green seems to be the one with the highest ceiling, so yeah, I really like Tom Green, but the issue is Leon Cameron, and is he ready yet? I'm not exactly sure. I believe he had a really good time trial finish, and the only thing I've found on him is Josh Cheyle said he's a really competitive at training, which doesn't really mean a whole lot, but to get singled out is always kind of nice. So he's on the cheaper end, so more of a stepping stone, and probably on the 350, I guess, is really awkward price. So with these guys, you probably want to keep them as keepers, but maybe Green's a stepping stone, or you can flip him and join the buys with the other guys, but it's kind of hard to do. You kind of want to save your trades. So yeah, I'm not sure on his endurance. I did mention he had a decent time trial, but in his draft profile, it said he had a really strong work rate. But yeah, had the big 30 disposal game as well last year, so lots of room for more CBAs for Tom Green. Leon Cameron, who knows? Is he even best 22? I think it's absolutely you'd play him best 22, but you never know with Leon Cameron. Hopefully Tom Green can put that beyond doubt. So that's the video. These are my 5 breakout picks. The 2 that didn't make it were Josh Dacos, who apparently is getting more inside mid-time. Seems a little weird to get more inside mid-time when you got rid of Phillips to make room for Dacos on the wing. That's another story. And I didn't include LDU because I'm just sick of North supporters telling us about LDU. We've been hearing it for years. But he looks really skillful player. High ceiling, I think, for LDU. So wait and see. But I just prefer Simkin and these guys at the moment. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. Let me know if you're considering any of these guys. Hopefully you didn't have your team open and put any of these guys in while you're watching the video. Very irresponsible, but for me, I'm considering Simkin. And if there's a severe rookie deficit, I've toyed with splitting Neil into Anderson and Sarong, but I think that's really stupid because you lose out on a keeper. But I kind of like him, and I really wish they were forwards, because if Anderson or Sarong were forwards, I'd lock them in. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.